This investigation with our partnerships cleared burglaries in Volusia, Flagler, St. Johns County.
That's Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley, who says an investigation led to 3 people facing charges.
In the end of January, we had reports of multiple auto burglaries at Madison Green Apartments where windows were smashed and property taken, including guns. Detective Costello was assigned the cases and immediately started working with our real-time crime center, along with the Ormond Beach Police Department, Volusia County Sheriff's Office, St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, after he had developed suspects that were believed to be from Jacksonville.
The trio was booked on 17 counts of burglary, including 1 count of armed burglary, which Staley says carries a penalty of up to life in jail. From the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, Public Information Officer George Harrigan says the cases are active investigations, so no statements right now, other than that the Flagler County Sheriff's Office did the heavy lifting on this case. This local news is a service of your hometown Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you.
The City Commission and other local governments are concerned about the chilling effect it would have on their ability to respond to their constituents. So it becomes a problematic scenario where we're going to be churning out a bunch of pro forma lawsuits.
That's City Attorney Isabel Lopez. She spoke to Liz Ryan about pending legislation, State Bill 170.
The first part requires any sort of local ordinance has to have a financial impact statement. So essentially our staff would have to figure out what the impact would be of a proposed local ordinance. And then the second part is it creates a new basis to sue local governments if the business can prove that the ordinance was either preempted by another state statute or was arbitrary.
I asked her what a financial impact estimate involves.
Even a financial advisor or CPA would sort of scratch their heads and, well, what am I supposed to look at? And it says direct cost to the business. But how direct? What that greater analysis is will have to be hashed out through the court system.
She stressed that much of what city government can and cannot do starts at the state level.
Pay attention to what's going on in Tallahassee. We have a lot of your listeners come to our meetings and demand that the city limit things like short-term rentals, not understanding that the state has stopped our ability to regulate that industry.
Similar legislation, State Bill 620, was filed last year by Senator Hudson, but ultimately vetoed by the governor. If this current legislation is signed into law, it's expected to effect any ordinances passed after October 1st. We reached out to the sponsor of the current version of the bill, Senator Trumbull, but he hasn't responded to our request for comment. For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Liz Ryan.
Florida's 6th District Congressman weighs in on the Chinese spy balloon incident and the other recent shootdowns. Michael Waltz describes why the Chinese are using surveillance balloons.
What the Chinese are doing are essentially developing a surveillance capability that sits between where satellites fly and where surveillance aircraft fly in what's called near space or the stratosphere. And from a strategic standpoint, I could tell you in all of our war games, should we ever have to come to some type of conflict, the first shots are fired in cyberspace and in actual space because our entire economy is dependent on the satellites that are up there, from agriculture to telecommunications to real-time logistics. They know that. They've developed the ability to take it down. And if we take theirs down in kind, these balloons are kind of their backup plan. Think about it that way.
He's also critical of the White House response.
Despite the president finally addressing the American people, I have no idea what our shoot-down criteria are and why we didn't shoot down the thing we knew was collecting on us, and then we got trigger-happy with things that we had no idea what they are. And, you know, Greg's a Navy veteran. I would have court-martialed some of my officers if they just went and started authorizing things that we had no idea if it had hostile intent, where it came from, what it was doing, and just started blowing things out of the sky. So I'm getting more disturbed as they try to explain themselves.
Walt says the administration needs to look at the big picture.
Big message that China's putting out in its propaganda all over the world is the United States is declining, democracy is too fractious and unruly, capitalism is too unfair. That's why you need to side with us. And look, as proof of that, they can't even defend against a balloon. And that's what, if you look at Chinese state media, they are blasting all over the world. You better side with us. We're the future. The United States and the West are the past. And that's the new Cold War that we are in. And we need to acknowledge that and begin thinking about it that way.
For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Rich Petchview.
And now you're up to date with St. Augustine's Local Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.